Now, I'm sure you all know of the Konami Code as one of the classic things of gaming, but you know what's also a classic thing? The Konami Load. Yeah, cleared my throat too early. Every 100 years, the forces of good mysteriously start to weaken. Thus, the power of Dracula starts to revive itself. His power grows stronger and stronger every 100 years. Hey, you said that in the first sentence, but thank you. Dracula has revived many times. However, his sinister actions have been consistently thwarted by the Belmont family. It's been 100 years since the last confrontation between Dracula and the Belmont family. But now, the serenity of Transylvania is being threatened by destructive forces. Is it man? Is it man? Is it one of those, like, the real monster was man? Oh, no, I think it might be Dracula. Huh. On a dark and eerie night, Dracula rose from his grave to unleash his destructive power over the countryside. Once again, Simon Belmont is called upon to destroy Dracula. With only his whip and courage, he sets out to restore peace to Transylvania. So, for those not up on their Castlevania lore, yeah, they do really want to go about that 100 years business. So Super Castlevania is not canonical in that a lot of the early games, or some of them, are all just retellings of the first Castlevania, which is Simon Belmont versus Dracula. So Super Castlevania is that. Yeah, we don't need a preview. Thanks. So technically, the first Castlevania is what happened, and like Super Castlevania is just like a alternate, like maybe this is how it could have happened or something. Also, unrelated to that, but it took me until, I mean, this was probably the second Super Nintendo game I had. I remember I looked it up on a previous Super Nintendo stream, but this either came out in 1996 or 1997. And it was like last 2 weeks I found a font for the Castlevania name font. That's because, like, yeah, there's a lot of Gothic fonts that are kind of similar, but I'm like, I want the Castlevania font. It was not until very recently that I found one. Yeah. So yeah, before I start, is there any other important lore? Not really, just that retelling of Simon, you know, and so Simon Belmont was the first released game. Now, like, as Castlevania went on, there was more story, and, you know, I think he's like the fourth or fifth Belmont that ended up fighting Dracula. Like, there's the one that was a friend with someone and they turned into Dracula. Like, Belmont and the guy who turned into Dracula were friends back in, like, the Crusades. You know, and then there was Trevor Belmont was pretty early on. He's, you know, star of the Castlevania Netflix show, which, if you like Castlevania, I would highly recommend if you are a mature person, because it is definitely for a mature audience. I don't know. I don't really know my Castlevania lore. I know of Dracula's like eventually banished for good in the 2000s. Something like banished into a solar eclipse or something. I don't know. But we don't really care about all that right now. What we care about is classic Super Nintendo Simon Belmont with his shorty short tunic. Look at those thighs. Do I play this game? Oh, and I will say, I'm gonna run out of time if I stop to talk, so let's keep going. No, don't want to go in. You can't make me. Well, actually, it looks like you can make me. But Super Castlevania is probably my favorite Castlevania game. And that even includes, like, the Castlevanias that turned into what, you know, the Metroidvania style later on with, like, Symphony of the Night. And you have so many questions about how solar eclipses banish vampires. Well, the solar eclipse didn't banish him, the people did. And they banished him into, like, the dark side of the eclipse or something. I've never played it. And actually, I think from what I remember hearing, it happens off screen. You learn about it in a different game. I jam into Simon Belmont's theme, which a lot of people mistakenly call like Dance of the Madman or Dance of the Moonlight or something like that. But that's one of those like Napster calling things a wrong song type of deals. It is not called that. It is in fact just officially Simon Belmont's theme. There is a song that's called that, and it has nothing to do with this one. You call pseudoscience on the shenaniganery? No, I just think you're not up to snuff on your Dracula science, that's all. Either way, so yes, I don't want that. Go away, axe. This is definitely the best weapon by far. It still uses the hearts that you see. I guess I should be explaining more of this game for people who've never seen it. Money, they just give points. Points eventually give you lives, but they're not really important. They're just, you know, it's old school. Get points because you can. Hearts, little hearts give 1, big hearts give 5, and you can see the heart counter up on the top. And this is an invincibility potion that lasts a little bit. All right, now you're laughing about Dark Side of the Eclipse. Well, now I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't know if the music will keep playing if I do that, though. But hearts are your ammo for your sub-weapon, of which there are a few. That's one. So daggers, they just throw straight out. They go pew in front of you. Axes curve in an arc above you. Holy water, you throw it, it's kind of like a firebomb. It doesn't have a lot of range. Like if I was right here, it would land right here. But then it sets a fire that stays there for a bit. There is a stopwatch that freezes time. And then there is the boomerang cross. And it does a lot of damage because of its going out and returning. And then yes, little meat, little drumsticks give you a little bit of health, and then the big like haunch of meat gives you a lot of health. That covers almost every item in the game, except for something, well, there's something right here to cover. I want to get rid of these guys. Get out of here, skeletons. This means I can now throw 2 boomerangs at once, and you can get up to a 3. Like, if you keep your same sub-weapon for a while, you can get those. It's in the instruction book, and it says that there are 1-ups in the game. To my knowledge, and I've used this in a lot of video game trivia, there are 2 1-ups in the entire game, only one of which you can actually see. If there are others, I don't know where they are. Even to this day, that's the holy water. So I'll talk about those 1-ups when we get to them. But yeah, what I got distracted with, before I started explaining how this game works, the reason I like this game more than any other Castlevania is because you have a whip/chain that behaves like a whip/chain. It's like in the old Castlevania, like the original one and other ones, you just go like this when you attack. And I got from the whip, the vampire killer whip, and then I got the Morning Star to make it longer, but all you do is just attack straight. And that's really no different than yeah, it looks like a whip, but it might as well just be a sword that you're stabbing in front of you, right? This game features complete rotational control, and you can swing it around and do all crazy stuff with it. And yeah, it doesn't behave exactly like a whip would, but it's, to my knowledge, the only Castlevania game to have complete 3-dimensional, 2-dimensional, because there's no depth, but to have complete axis control of all the, I don't know, I think I said that backwards. A whip control of all the axes. That's what I was trying to say. Also, I've always wondered, as a kid, I thought these are skeleton horses. And I can't tell. Like, are they skeletons or are they just, kind of thin in the moonlight? It's hard to tell. It might be normal. But we're about to fight a dude on a skeleton horse, so, that's why I wonder. Oh, these things, jump on them, they flip. If you're on them, you fall, and right now, that would kill you. Ghost. It's been a very long time since I've played this, and I have more recently played things like Bloodstain, and I'm like, oh yeah, all these dudes are like all the enemies they hit, because Bloodstain was essentially it's not Castlevania, wink, game anyway, so. Yeah. Alright. Time for the first boss. Oh, I'm about to lose time. I've spent so long explaining things. I don't think I've ever heard that sound. Well, I learned something new today. Well, let's do that quickly then. And of course, with the power orb, you gotta pose. Huh. What, it's 2022 now, if it was 1996. I can do math. 2006, 16 is 20, plus 4 plus 2 is another, it's like, what, 22 years, and I've never heard the timeout sound? Or at least if I have, it's not been since I was a kid. Cool. Oh. It says any, nay, which would be, born. Let go of me, dude. Come on. Like, as a kid, I thought these were just, like, weird flower things coming out, and then when I was still a kid, but less of a kid, I was like, oh, they're hands. Got it. Oh, there's a little red blood on them. Cool. The reason I mentioned that is because this is the American version of the game. There was a decent amount of censorship, as most Super Nintendo games had at the time. This game especially, well, like kind of especially. There's nothing major, but they took off crosses on top of tombstones because, like, that was one of the big no-nos of the Super Nintendo American age, is you could not have religious iconography. So like crosses on graves got removed all the time. But yeah, so no crosses, except, I mean, like, yes, there's this cross boomerang, though obviously it's like a tilt and looks like an X, but then a lot of blood got censored, mainly in, well, what I always thought was a sewer. We'll get to there, it's like level 8. You fall down this big hole at the end of level 7. Oh, it's such a good sound. This game has such good sound effects. And like, yes, part of that's nostalgia, because it's like, you know, my second Super Nintendo game ever. But it does have really good sound effects. I mean, even like Simon's, ugh! Or like, I mean, think about it, like a Super Nintendo game. You know, we just came off of like Mario World and Yoshi Island, and like, you know, that sounds like a pretty good, ugh, yell. As usual, lost my train of thought. So, oh, now we don't care about blood so long as there's nudity to freak out about. Yeah, well, I didn't get to that yet either. But yeah, so what I always thought was a dungeon, or what I always thought was a sewer, is actually like a torture dungeon because it's full of all this green goo. Well, in the Japanese one, it makes more sense because it's all red, not green. It's supposed to be, you know, like rivers upon rivers of blood in Dracula's castle. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. Vampires' blood. In this one, it's green, which, I mean, it still works. You know, it's all slimy and gross, but it makes more sense red. And then there is, you know, quote-unquote nudity censored in this. But what that means is, I'll point out, it's World 6, I think. When you enter the castle, there's a bunch of, like, classical Greek-style sculpture. And in all its 16-bit glory, there are some ladies that did not have tops on, but I don't even think you could see anything, because it's a 16-bit representation of a statue. But they're like, no, their toga has to cover their top, even though there's no detail. So that's the other censorship. Which is funny, because while she's not anatomically correct, it's convenient that I just said that now. They covered up these, you know, statues because they're like, oh no, that's too risque. Have a look at Medusa here. I believe this is the most revealing Medusa of any Castlevania game. Now, there are other Castlevania creatures and stuff in future games that are more, you know, like I think there's the succubus in some of the games, but you have a completely topless Medusa. No detail, but like it's even flesh colored, but they're like, no, this statue is just too much, man, too much. These guys always kind of look like creepy Ninja Turtles. I think they're supposed to be like, I don't know, flying goblins or something. Oh yeah, these red spikes kill you instantly if you touch them. Luckily, I had invincibility. Now, going back to the 1-ups that I was talking about earlier, there's one in the game at the end of World 6 before the boss, and it's a pretty hard boss as a kid, so, like, it's nice. And I always thought that was the only one, and then I read on a guide somewhere online that there is at least one more. It is in this waterway, right? Did I miss it? You've been a bit. Either if I can't get it, you're not gonna see it, so you can only hear it. There is a hidden candle behind one of these archways. And that's the trivia I often use for like really hard gamer trivia, is where are the 2 1-ups in Super Castlevania? There it is. There's the other 1-up. So yeah, it was the earlier arch, not that one. So we start on the countryside, make our way through a little swamp down the aqueduct. We're bypassing the upper thing and going through the not catacombs, the cave system. Maybe I should... I mean, I can keep grooving to the music, but maybe I should keep my eyes open. Lest I get run over by a bat. I do also like that it's kind of like that level. Like, you know, the first level, you go to the end, you fight a boss, you get the orb, hooray. This one, it's like, yeah, Medusa's clearly a boss, but she's just kind of a sub-boss. Like, you fight her, and she has, you know, she's a boss, but she's in the middle of the level, you don't get an orb, you just keep on going, and then you're like, all right, you're in the next section now. Oh, I didn't want that. Well, here's the axe. Oh. Secret. Yeah, good crashing sound effects. Ow. Less good crashing on my face effects. Hey! Well, I lost my triple throw. Yeah, if you pick up a new sub-weapon, you lose your double or triple throw, so... Launch of meat. So I might as well, I know there's a holy water down there. Might as well pick it up, show you that. Ow. Nope, nope. Here's holy water. B. And holy water is very good against the mummy boss. And you're like, well, duh, it like explodes in fire. He's a mummy. No, that's not why. It's because you can get him trapped on a small platform where he just has to like the mummy comes in and out, he teleports around, and they'll like will stay in attack for a bit in one spot if he's on this one platform. So you're just like, ah, and he just stands in it. And you're like, you're a dummy, mummy. And he's like, that pun was dumb. And you're like, I don't care, I'm a Belmont. I can make whatever puns I want. You're dead now. Ooh. I've never known what these things are. Like, they make the you're hurting them sound, but you can't kill them. Or at least, if there's a way, I never learned it. And I don't plan on finding out today. They can keep their secrets. Oh yeah, also this game is really good going along with the whip. Very nice swinging controls. Ugh. Besides all this nice music, but yeah, so you can go back and forth, you can speed up and down, you can, you know, reel yourself in, let yourself drop out. I just, here, yeah, here's the dagger, it's dumb, but you go, ah! I don't know that I'll bother getting a stopwatch. It uses a lot of hearts. I think I might use a random amount, like 8 to 12 per use, but all it does is freeze enemies in place, so. And it makes a like, up, 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 up sound. So, you're not missing any cool animation with that. Oh, well, never mind. See, I called it. But now you've seen it. So there you go. You've now seen all the sub-weapons. Ugh. Oh, and that's a great sound too. It's so gross and juicy. Which, like, if you're attacking a floating eyeball, that's the kind of sound you want. Gross and juicy. Oh, nope, don't want that. Oh, actually, I guess I didn't tell you I got one, so the astute viewers among you might have noticed it already. There is another item that I didn't tell you about. And interestingly, how I said how they, censored crosses. But, oh, I get hit by you. There is I don't remember what it's officially called, if they call it a crucifix or if they just call it a rosary. But there is a chain with a cross on it, or like a prayer thing, kind of like a rosary mixed with a crucifix. I say that because there's one over here that I can show you, and it just kills all enemies on screen. Yeah. So they censor crosses on a grave, but they're like, hey, here's a cross right here. I will not understand early to mid 90s Nintendo of America. Get out of here. We're gonna fight a much cooler dragon than you, dude. You're half the head that dragon boss. You know what I'm trying to say. A statement on weaponizing religion, if I ever saw one. Nah, I don't think that's so much a statement on that. Oh, I guess there's also those items. You collect the thing and it upgrades your whip. Hooray. No, early 90s Nintendo of America would not make a statement on that. That's for sure. I'm curious now what they officially called it in the instruction book. Come on. Come on. Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling this stream will not take all 4 hours, so even if I play through on hard mode after I beat it the first time. So we can always look it up then. Oh, one of the other things that's great about this game, beating up skeletons is so satisfying. Not those ones as much, but like when you hit just a regular skeleton, the way that's all clattering and there's just bones flying everywhere, it's so satisfying. Like beating up skeletons in games is always fun. Well, I know one of you comes over here. He's... Twin Hydra, I think is what it's called. Maybe it's just the Twin Dragon, I don't know. Konami takes on Double Dragon in a whole new meaning. Yeah, let's go. And he's like, that pun was dumb. And you're like, I don't care, I'm a Belmont. I can make whatever puns I want. You're dead now.